Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome. In Texas. That's right. Today it's the number one landscape lighting show in Texas. Landscape Lighting Secret Studio here. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. And if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support. Absolutely love doing this show. Gives me an opportunity to hang out, nerd out about profits and lighting and business and all this different stuff. So super excited for the show today. If you're looking to start or grow your own landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We're here to help educate, motivate, to help you dominate. So today we got a big show lined up, you guys. I've got the fortune of being friends with someone who's pretty dang awesome. I feel like I've got many friends that are like superheroes, but they just look like normal humans, you know? And that's who we've got today. We've got Spencer Jan. He's the co-founder of Solo Stove. And if you don't know what Solo Stove is, just look it up. It's a really, really cool product and turned empire, right? And so we're having him on, and we're going to pick his brain and kind of walk through his journey of going from startup to actually his business eventually went public. I mean, crazy stuff. So stick around. I'm going to have him on in just a few minutes. And don't forget to give me a review. Trying to get more podcast reviews. And thank you if you've already done that. But just go to Apple, hit 5 stars, and then type some nice words. That's how you do it. So I would appreciate your support. If you've gotten good value out of the podcast, go help a brother out. Still hiring a salesperson. So if you know someone, this is a remote position. You could be anywhere in the world looking for a salesperson to work with me here at Landscape Lighting Secrets. And also event CEO, training facility manager. We got lots of positions. So if you're like, you know what, I want to change in my life, hit me up. Maybe I've got an opportunity for you. And of course, I want to thank Emery Allen for their support. What's the best way to stand out of the crowd? Well, being different. Set yourself apart from others in the lighting industry and impress your customers by installing Emery Allen bulbs in your next project. You'll discover a higher level of quality across the board, from the bulbs themselves to the top-tier customer support you can expect to get if you have any questions or issues. Right now is a great time to make the switch. And what do you have to lose? Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com for more info. That's Tom G at emeryallen.com. And don't forget to mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. You'll get the best discounted contractor pricing. Don't waste your time going to their website. I'm telling you, just email Tom G at emeryallen.com. That's Tom Garber's email address, tomg at emeryallen.com. Get your discounted contractor pricing set up. Thank you, Emery Allen. Tom's a great guy. His family's great. I get to see them at different trade shows we go to. I get to see him at events he helps us put on. A absolutely phenomenal family and product. So check them out. Again, guys, we got coming on in just a few minutes the co-founder of Solo Stove, Spencer Jan. And I'm telling you, like, how many people do you know that started a business that ended up having a 9-figure valuation, right? Not many. I mean, it's not like how many can you think of, right? And it's like, what is 9 figures? It's like another zero. So stick around. We're going to talk about his journey and how he was able to do what he was able to do. And before we have him on, I want to talk about something real quick. This last week, I had the opportunity to go to Tommy Mello's event, and it was in Orlando. And I want to talk about something that, like Tommy, I've met him before. We've talked on the phone briefly. We exchanged texts, stuff like that, but we're not like tight friends or anything like that. And I just know him as like, I follow him online, right? And so you think you can kind of learn a lot about people or whatever, but being at his event, I mean, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go. I was like, I had a ton of excuses lined up as to why I couldn't go and I shouldn't go. And I was like, what, I'm going. Right. And there was a lot of people there that I had previously uh, met or, wanted to get to know better and things like that. But I'm telling you, Tommy has done wonders for the garage door industry. And now he's in all home services. But, you've heard the phrase before, your network is your net worth, or your net worth is your network. I'm actually not sure which way you say that one. Probably doesn't matter. And I've heard it a lot, and I think I've even said it before. But I'm telling you, like, everyone has their superpowers, and his is relationships. I've never seen anything like what he's done, where it, it's true. His net worth is his network. I mean, the people in the room were insane. So you've got just even the attendees. Like, there was attendees in the room that are doing $50 million a year in business, $100 million a year in business. He had one speaker come on the stage and spoke, and this guy was actually talking about recruiting and how he figured out a way to recruit, right? But he started an HVAC company 8 years ago and just crossed 100 million. They just did $100 million last year. It's like in 8 years, right? The vendors that he's got there, the vendors are all top notch, um, providing like amazing experiences and results to their clients. It's just so well connected. I've reached out to Tommy a couple times for like, hey, do you know somebody that does this, or do you know somebody that can help me with this? And I get a text back, and it's like this miracle worker. I'm like, what? Like, he literally knows everybody. He is the definition of your network being your net worth. And it was crazy. I've just never seen anything like that, because he's so well connected. And it's not that like he's any smarter or taller. Well, he actually is pretty tall, and now he's working out. He's getting jacked, but it's not like he's not better than anyone per se at any one thing. But at this, he is. I mean, this is his superpower, and so it's like that's what's so genius about him is like, if he doesn't know how to do something, he finds somebody who's amazing at it, right? And it's like he's got these cracks in his foundation. He filled them in, and the rest of us are wondering why we can't build, right? So very, very impressive. Like I said, just even the attendees in the room, the vendors, the speakers, the whole lineup, and the access to everybody to be able to, pull someone aside and have a conversation with them was very, very impressive. So if you're not paying attention to what he's doing, taking notes, you're missing out for sure. I got to meet Dr. Benjamin Hardy, one of my favorite authors, and that was awesome, and it was just a quick conversation that I had with him. But I was like most people in the room, he wasn't like a keynote speaker. He was just like kind of in this like after party thing, and they were having him talk, and like most people were not even listening to what he said. But there was a group of a front, maybe 20, 30 people that were like actively engaged. And I was one of them. And as soon as he finished, like, I wanted to be the first one to go talk to him, because I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. Right. And that was awesome. I'll talk a little bit more about that probably later on another video or something like that. But he's the stuff that he's teaching is completely transformational. He recently wrote a book called 10x is easier than 2x, and the premise is that like if you want to double what you're doing, you can keep 80% of your habits of what you're doing. You just have to change 20%. But if you really want to 10x, you're gonna have to really change 80% about what you're doing right now, and replace that and start over with 80% of what you're doing, and you can only keep 20%. Um, so that was just a really cool experience for me. And I go to some of these events for different reasons, but primarily, number one, I go to learn. I mean, I go for myself. It's like what works, what doesn't. Um, I learn also like how people run events. What could be better. Um, what went really well, but I'm looking for new strategies. I'm looking for stay up to date on technology and trends and all these things, right? The second reason I go is I go for my clients. So I'm looking to pick up a few things each time that I can take home and relay to members of Landscape Lighting Secrets, right? Relay something that's beneficial that I can take from some of these other industries that they're doing really well, that the landscape lighting industry hasn't been privy to. And then number three, I go for the lighting industry. So I go for content for this show, right? I'm always looking for new vendors, new partners, new relationships, new ideas. There's always a lot to bring back. So It's been a crazy year. I've traveled way more than I probably should have, than I wanted to. But I'm grateful for the relationships that I built, the people that I've met, the information, the knowledge that I've gained. I mean, it's just been amazing. So excited to kind of wind down the year. Uh, that I'm excited about. Next week, I'm going to be at ILI, International Landscape Lighting Institute. Actually leaving tomorrow. So when I say next week, this week and next week, I'm going to be a mentor there for my first time. So I'll be making some videos and creating some content around that. Let you guys know what to expect out of there. But excited for that. I attended ILI as a attendee. Now I'm going to be a mentor. It's going to be awesome. So, well, that's pretty much it, guys. Wanted to just kind of catch you up on that. Like I said, check out Tommy Mello. He's got a podcast. He's got books. He's got all the stuff. The guy's the real deal. I just couldn't believe the network that he has created. So completely impressive. Totally blown away at what he's been able to do. And I'm grateful that he allowed me to go and he's introducing me to his network as well. So it's been pretty awesome. So. All right, guys, it's getting about that time where we get to have our guest on. So I hope you're ready. I know I am. Let's get the music going and get our guest coming on. You guys ready for this? What is up? Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thanks, Ryan. Good to be here. I feel like I should be wearing some sort of like wig when you do the intro. You know, that music is going on. I gotta like.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have like this whole persona since we last talked. Come out in like WWF stuff. But no, you're just regular. See, I was talking like you're like a superhero. Why don't you dress as a superhero next time and just go
rip
crazy?
off my.
Well, man, I'm really excited to have you on here. I think I've been wanting you to come on for 2 years, and then I think you were like, wait till I get a nice microphone or something like that. I can't remember what the last.
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember. But no, it's good. Never too late.
Yeah, well, I'm excited, man. Like there's a lot to kind of go through. There's a lot that I've learned from you and a lot that I respect about you. And it's called lighting for profit. So you might be going, well, wait a minute, like, how am I going to add value to this? But like what you've done is incredible. I think we're going to get some inspiration from you. I think we're going to get some to-dos and things like that. So that being said, let's just maybe have you introduce yourself. Like, when I met you, you guys basically, at least from what I knew, there was just one product. It was the backpacking stove. But maybe just kind of introduce how you guys even came up with that idea and how you started your online business.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my entrepreneurial journey of starting stuff on my own goes a ways back to probably 2008, 2009 when the financial crisis hit, and I was working a day job and not making a whole lot of money. That wasn't necessarily the problem. The problem was that I saw how vulnerable it is to work for someone. And when something as dramatic as like a financial crisis hits, there was nothing, it was out of my control and there was nothing that I was doing wrong, but the company I was working for took a huge hit. And suddenly this small company I was working for could barely keep the doors open and owed a lot of people money and cash flow just broke. And suddenly everything got turned upside down. And I was like, wait a minute, like I went to college, am I supposed to have a guaranteed job here? Like, doesn't my degree dictate that I am like stable for the rest? And it just wasn't that way. It was a rude awakening to the fact that, when you work for someone, there's a lot of, I remember reading this in an Inc. magazine article. It talked about how if you work for someone, your upside is very limited, right? You can get your 3%, 5% raise every year. Maybe you even get a bonus at the end of the year, right? But your upside in order to climb financially is pretty limited and capped. And your downside is unlimited. And by that, it meant you could get laid off. You could get fired, right? Or something could happen with the business, or the owners could have an argument, and suddenly you're getting the short end of the stick, and by no doing of your own, and you could be out of a job in an instant. And we saw that in '08 and with the financial crisis, and I'm sure we'll see it again with other recessions and resets in the markets. But and that kind of rang true to me. I was like, you're right. Like, my upside is capped, but my downside is unlimited. Like, I could be out of a job in a second. And it kind of flipped the switch and said, well, if you're an entrepreneur, it's actually the opposite. And I was like, wait a minute, it seems like starting your own business is riskier. And that's what most people think, right? But if you think about it, your upside is unlimited. I mean, if anybody's who started a business, I think a lot of your audience has, you realize that, you could make one decision that makes you a ton of money, and you could just grow your business. You can scale your business. You can sell a business. The earning potentials are unlimited. And your downside is really capped, because you're not going to really fire yourself, right? You can't fire yourself. And at the end of the day, you're just relying upon yourself to make decisions to keep your business going. And I think anybody who has a level head, who has that entrepreneurial spirit, who has that drive and motivation to stick with it and to make good decisions. And I think most people would say of themselves that they check all those boxes. Then your downside is really unlimited. And so it rang true to me in that, like, oh, that's right, I could earn a lot more and be kind of in control of my own destiny. And that's when I started to play around and figure out, well, how can I make money? And I kind of turned to online. I kind of turned to selling stuff online. Eventually, originally, I started blogging, actually. So I started creating blogs and thought, oh, I don't have enough money to start a business, but I could start a blog. I have time. I could put my time into writing articles and maintaining a website, a blog, and generate traffic, and maybe get a few clicks for affiliate marketing and some ads that I could put on there. And I did do that for a whole year. And
Is that like Google AdSense that you put
yeah,
on there or whatever? Okay.
yep, AdSense. And there's all these different ad networks that you can sign up that will put banners on and just rotate banners through your sites. And so I started playing with that and trying to figure out if that was an avenue for me to kind of start a business on the side as I continue to work a day job. That eventually grew into me realizing that I don't love blogging. I'd rather sell something. A tangible product to me is easier to understand. And I have this product, and you want this product, I'll sell it for you. I'll sell it to you for a profit, and I'll take that profit and we'll call it good. And so I started to sell product. I was actually working and living in China, in Shanghai, China, for a sourcing company. So a lot of the stuff that you guys deal with lights, we saw all of that stuff being made in China. I did a lot of lighting products, not in landscape lighting, but it was more automotive lighting. So interior decorative lighting for RVs, exterior lighting for trailers, a lot of wire harnesses. And so been in a lot of factories that make lighting and different lighting fixtures, more so for RVs and for residential homes. But so yeah, I was there in China and had access to a lot of this product because that was my day job. I was helping other companies find products in China. And so I said, well, what if I find a product for myself that I could sell to people? And so I started to sell mattresses, memory foam mattresses in a box, and put up a website and took everything I learned from blogging and applied it to e-commerce and selling online. And that took off, and started selling mattresses. And before I knew it, I was selling a few $100,000 a year in mattresses, highly profitable. I'd buy them for about $200 and sell them for $1,000. And so I was making $800 a mattress, and was, moving a few mattresses each night. And it was quickly surpassed what I was making in my day job. Mattresses grew into other products, and I started to think, well, what else could I do? How do I do this? I was in China, selling in China to other expats living in China, these mattresses, but eventually teamed up with my brother who was living here in Texas. And we started trying to think of all sorts of products to sell, anything we can kind of get our hands on. Eventually started selling gardening products and different products of that sort. And I ended up selling with my other business partner. We moved into e-commerce as well. Started selling gardening products like garden fountains, resin garden fountains, We sold mattresses here in the US. What else did we sell? We sold plumbing products, faucets, RV parts.
How were you selling? Was most of this on Amazon at the time?
It was a combination of Amazon, eBay, even,
Okay, yeah.
and our own websites. And so the holy grail was to, get sales on our own websites. Amazon in those earlier days of 2010, 2011, it was easier to sell. And I still think there's great opportunity on there now to sell if you understand how Amazon works. But we sold a lot through Amazon, millions and millions of dollars of product through Amazon. But we sold all sorts of weird stuff that we had factories or relationships with factories that said, "Hey, we do automotive like wire harnesses," and we're like, "Okay, we can sell wire harnesses," and so we just white labeled it and branded our own and threw them up there. And
So
yeah,
there wasn't much strategy to be like, we want to be the category kings in wire harnesses. It was
N-
more like, what
it
could we
was
sell?
Yeah, it was more about what could we sell, and it sounds funny, but that's a learning process, right? And I think every business goes through that. It's hard to target in on the thing that you're going to do now today and have it be the thing you're going to be doing in 10 years from now, right? So it was more of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yep.
And the more we did, the more we got comfortable knowing that everything we threw up on the wall stuck to a certain degree and made a certain amount of money. And then we learned from it. We learned that selling something that is perishable isn't as easy as selling something that's not perishable, right? Because it's got a shelf life, and then you have to deal with expiration, and certain things have to sell within a certain period of time, and you got to watch your inventory, and so all of these learnings start coming down over the years as we start selling different products. Your customer base, I'm sure that's one thing that you guys probably focus in on, right? Do you sell the expensive stuff to the high end people who have a lot of money, or do you target those that maybe are looking for the more budget value product, right? And those are two different audiences that you sell to, and that comes with two different strategies and two different kind of paths in terms of how you scale that and how you operate that. And so it gave us a taste of a little bit of everything.
And were you guys doing any advertising at this time?
Yeah, all sorts of
Right.
advertising. Yeah, all sorts of advertising. So anything we could do, and I think this is like the ongoing theme of my business was try everything. I had a kid email me the other day. A lot of people will add me on LinkedIn and then like ask me to, answer all their questions. And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to do that. But sometimes I say, well, if you email me, I'll take a look at it. And he asked me all of these really specific questions. And really in the back of my mind was like, the principle behind at least my success was try everything, because you don't know unless you try it. And even though somebody says it might be right or it might be wrong, you know, as an entrepreneur, I don't know about, the others listening, but I always trusted my gut more than anybody else's, right? If you're the type that's going to go listen and kind of be swayed by the winds of, the quote unquote successful people out there, you're going to be doing one thing one day and one thing the next day and one thing the other. If you have too much noise coming in, you don't know what to do. You're not much of an entrepreneur. You're just kind of looking for answers. And so for me, it was about try everything, go in with an open mind, and let the numbers tell you what's right and wrong, because there's so much nuance in business. There's so much nuance in my business, and even nuance in timing, right? Where I was in the market cycle, where it is now. For you guys, your audience might be dealing with issues of interest rates and affecting the real estate market, and what people are and aren't willing to buy in terms of homes or willing to spend on their home. And so there's so many nuances that I think it's hard to just say, this guy did it and he's successful, I'm going to go do it. I think that's the wrong way to approach things. For me, it was go in with an open mind and try everything. And that included ads, whether it was Amazon ads, the new ads they came out with, the weird ads that they came out with, then it was off Amazon ads. You had every ad platform available to you. You had all the social media channels, Facebook, and within Facebook, there's a zillion type of ads that you can try. You can, static image carousels versus videos versus is your video landscape versus horizontal. I mean, there's so many different things to try that Yeah, I think that was what we did. We tried
Well,
everything, and that was with ads too. We tried everything you can imagine. Pinterest ads. I mean, not many people think of like growing a business off, and even like Bing ads, Bing and Yahoo like it's called Gemini. It's like all the old school like ones that you don't think exist anymore. They still have ad networks, and
that's crazy.
and some of them worked really well. So yeah, we tried everything.
Well,
When we were doing it.
I think I met your brother Jeff. I think he even sent me a video. I was like, this I'm like, because I was like, what do you guys do? And he's like, I think I saw a video of him like in his backyard, like showing one of the gardening things or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, these are the guys. See, people like this, they just do this because they don't know how to make money, and so they say they do this or whatever. But then that's when he I think he gave me the backpacking stove. Like
Yeah.
at what point did you guys hit upon that?
Yeah, so we started Solo Stove in 2000. We started developing it 2010. About 2011, we were end of 2010, we were selling. And so leading up to it took about a year to develop the product. We knew we wanted to make this thing, but it was a little bit different than everything else we had sold because we didn't just find it. We actually created it. We said, the next evolution of product that we want to sell is something unique because we saw the value in selling something unique and different because all the Me Too stuff, sure, you can make money for a while, but what's to set you apart from the next guy who sees you sell a lot and then he jumps on the bandwagon and then just starts driving the price down? And so we really want to develop something unique. And that's when we designed the Solo Stove Light, which is a single person backpacking twig stove. It's a stainless steel double walled twig stove meant for boiling water and camping and backpacking. So we started selling that about 2011 is when we started, and we called it Solo Stove because we didn't think it was going to become much. We thought one stove, solo, it's good for one person for solo hiking, solo backpacking. We said Solo Stove, it's great, it's perfect. And it just took off. I mean, I think it was a culmination of everything we had learned up to that point.
Yeah.
We had a lot of learnings to deploy, and so every next thing that we did was just better. And so had we had started with Solo Stove, maybe it would have taken a longer time, or maybe we wouldn't have done as well. But at that point, we had been selling online for a couple of years and had figured some things out and kind of got into our groove, and we started that. And then the first year, we sold $500,000 worth of this highly, highly profitable product. And we couldn't believe it. I mean, we had done little marketing of it, and it was a very much word of mouth kind of go viral sort of product. So we started quickly making accessories, pots that it can nest in, and different, fire starters, and eventually developing larger stoves throughout the years to kind of grow the audience and kind of meet them as their demands of, hey, why, this is cool, but why don't you make something bigger so that it's not just a single person stove, it's maybe a 2 to 4 person stove. And then it's like, well, yeah, 2 to 4 is good, but can I get something bigger so I can put a skillet on top and really cook? And so we eventually made 3 different sizes of camp
these
stoves.
clients, they were
Yeah,
saying,
customers would email us, and they were very vocal. They were very excited about it, and they would tell us all sorts of things. I remember one old guy literally mailed us snail mail, and inside of it he had this like prototype that he had cut out, and it had assembly instructions and everything. And he was
Nice.
like, I don't even want a royalty. He was like, I just want you to make this. And I can't remember what it was. We obviously didn't make it.
He
but
probably
people
wants a
were-
royalty now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's our, but they're very passionate customers, and the feedback you get from your customers as to what they want, that's the direction. Not necessarily you have to go, but it's definitely a voice you want to hear. Because a lot of times you can see a theme, that somebody might send you something and say, make this, and you're like, that's ugly and doesn't work. And then somebody sends you something similar, and the overarching theme isn't necessarily the product itself. It's that they want something bigger, right? Something that serves more people, right? And so we're like, oh, we can key into those ideas of, hey, what, collectively, what's all this feedback from customers? What does it actually mean? And
Nice.
what can we create and develop to kind of meet everybody and kind of serve their needs, even though they didn't specifically say, hey, I want to sit around in my backyard with my family, with my kids.
Yeah.
They don't say that, but they tell you how much they love the experience. And so how do we grow that experience? And that's when we eventually moved into backyard fire pits.
Hey, before we go there, where was your mindset at? Like when because you guys were having some serious success, but it was still just you two, your laptops. I think you
Yeah,
finally got like your own. It might have been the time when you got your own like distribution center or whatever. So you're growing bigger, but were you still thinking like, okay, like at some point we're just like we start a business and we just need to make like 100,000 to like provide for our families, and
absolutely. Yeah.
then it goes to like, okay, how can I get passive income? Oh, at some point you switch to like, wow, we could actually have a business here. What were you thinking during these years?
Yeah, the motivation to start the business was really just to create a lifestyle business, was to get away from the 9 to 5, stop working for someone so that we can actually um, increase our wealth, but not necessarily having to work more. And that sounds like a kind of pipe dream for most people who haven't started businesses because the kids are taught throughout their whole schooling that you work at school so that you can learn something so that you can go work for someone and then earn a certain amount of money, which isn't conducive to like encouraging entrepreneurship at all because the earning power of an entrepreneur, if you own your own business, your earning power is so much greater. Not necessarily that you're going to get stinking rich, but you're not limited to an hourly rate or a salary that somebody says, hey, you're worth $45,000 a year or $50,000 a year. When you own your own business, you can easily surpass that. And so in my mind, I was thinking, we don't have to necessarily kill ourselves to make a great company that earns a lot of money and allows us to live a lifestyle that we want and kind of hold it there. And that was the whole dream was, Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week of I can just create a company that I can earn enough. And I'm not talking about being millions and millions of dollars coming in. I'm just thinking enough, a 6-figure take home each year would be great. And we just hold it there. So me and my brother, we just that was all we set out to do. And in tandem with that, we never wanted to hire people because we always felt like we never enjoyed that. We never enjoyed managing teams or hiring people, or we never even had this ambition to grow a big company. So why hire anyone anyways if we can do it ourselves? And so the flexibility of being able to have no employees and to earn a certain amount of money that was comfortable, that was the end goal and the dream, kind of what we were setting out to do. So yeah, we were working at homes, no office for I would say like 8 years. So from 2008, when we kind of started this journey of playing online, moving to e-commerce, all the way to 2016, we never hired anyone. We bootstrapped the entire company from Jeff's garage.
So
We
wow.
had stuff stuffed in his garage. We started Solo Stove with $15,000 of our own savings, and we never put a single dime into it ever again. We grew it with profits. So we took that $15,000, we bought that first order of product for $5,000. And then quickly, as we sold $5,000 worth of products, we 10x'd our money, and that's where our profits were. So we 10x that money and then took that money and then bought more product, right? And then just kept replenishing inventory and then growing new product lines. So it was a very slow kind of process at the beginning, because we just wanted that lifestyle company and
Okay.
and to kind of keep it there. So that was the thinking
During that
uh,
time, yeah.
yeah,
And
during that time.
I remember being so envious because one day you actually asked me, you said, hey, and you guys were doing well at this point. This was like at the end of the 8-year thing. You guys had your laptops, had the lifestyle business, and you're like, hey, how do you hire somebody? And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You're doing better than me, and you're asking me how do you hire somebody? Like, but
I
still,
think, yeah, the funny part of that is not only did we ask you how to hire someone, uh, earlier on, I think like 4 years into our company, we were doing millions of dollars.
yeah.
We literally had to ask somebody else who was a CFO in another company, how do we do accounting? We had not kept books for the first like 4 years of our company. We just didn't keep books. We didn't have QuickBooks. We didn't have anything. We had a bank account that money would go into and we would pull out from. And And I remember telling Jeff, well, we need books. The account or the CPA says we need books. And so I was like, oh, just tell the CPA to do our books. And so he literally went in at the end of the year and kind of retroed each month's books and just put sales and expenses, like two lines.
Wow.
And he just made it. And he just, he said, how much did you sell and how much did you have expenses? And we kind of went back and looked at it. And it came to bite us in the butt because obviously it's hard to do tax planning when you're not doing books and you don't know what your actual profits are. And eventually it caught up with us and we realized, oh, we have to actually do accounting. And I have a liberal arts degree. Like I did 0 business classes in college. I didn't do a single accounting class. I didn't even take a single math class in college because I literally went down the line past your general courses. And I said, what doesn't have math? That's what I'm taking. And so it was a wake up call to have to do all this stuff. But hey, I think it goes to show that you don't have to be a genius to build a great business and do well for yourself, or possibly if luck falls your way to have a great outcome if you eventually sell your business like we did. There's so many dumb little things that seem, I wouldn't even say embarrassing. I'm almost like proud of the fact that like I didn't know how to hire anyone. I didn't know what benefits I was supposed to give, or what happens when I fire them, or how to deal with unemployment, or if they file a claim, or how to actually keep documentation. I mean, like this is stuff you just learn as you do it. And I think that's 90% of the game is just being dumb enough to just go do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So you're in this kind of paradigm now where you're like, okay, we've got the life, we got it. We did the lifestyle business. At what point did your mind transition to be like, maybe is this something that we could sell? And
Yeah.
and kind of compound on that, because I know at the same time this is when you had the fire pit idea. So like you were
Yep.
doing amazing, and then it was like exponential after that.
Yeah. So 2016, we came to kind of a crossroads because although we wanted, the goal was to build this lifestyle business, don't work too much and be able to take home a comfortable living and not have to hire anyone and just work from our homes. We got there. But if anybody knows, like when you have your own business, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no like kind of just holding it steady. You always have fires to put out. You always feel like the sky's going to fall. How long is this going to last? All these thoughts. And so you constantly try to protect yourself by growing your business and making smart moves, which is the right thing to do for business. We got to a point in 2016 where the lifestyle business wasn't very lifestyle anymore. It was a lot of work. We had buried ourselves in mounds of work due to the success of the business. And so by no means was this a bad thing. It was a good problem to have, but it was a problem because it didn't jive with what we were trying to attain. And it kind of started moving the opposite direction of having this lifestyle company that was, allowing us to go do the things we wanted to do outside of work. And so we kind of came to a crossroads and said, oh, okay, this is becoming way too much. I was still working with my other partner in his business. So I kind of had 2 concurrent jobs going on here. And then my brother had just recently quit his job and was working in it full time, but even he was getting swamped and we had not hired anyone. And we got to a point of thinking like, well, what's the next step? Like, what are our options here? Because this isn't like, we don't see a path forward here in our current situation. And it came down to the fact of we either grow this business and hire people and create a monster that we basically ran away from in 2008 to 10, when we started this thing. And we have this, we have to hire people and all this thing, and we create like this big business that we have to go into. We didn't want that. Or the option 2 was to sell it. And we were like, that kind of sounds good. If we could get some money out of this thing, and if it could be meaningful money, maybe we just sell it as it is. And we were like, yeah, let's sell it. And so we went to go sell it, just me and my brother. We didn't even have an office. We started talking with business brokers, and we started talking with some investment bankers and other people in the area that we thought might be able to give us some direction. And after all said and done, after we had met with people, we realized that what we had wasn't a very sellable business, because it was just that. It was me and my brother. Yes, we had a lot of sales, and yes, we had a lot of profits, but it was just me and my brother working behind computers and there was no one else. And everything was, everything that we could have outsourced, we outsourced. And when people looked at it, they said, well, if somebody buys this business, what are they going to do with it? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they just come in and do what I'm doing. And they're like, well, maybe they can, or maybe that's very risky for them to think that they're going to go do like, you should have employees. And if you had staff and a team built up actually running this business, well, then that's a sellable business. And we were like, that's kind of disappointing. I thought all you needed was is sales and profits, but really it's not. When you sell a
Which is
business,
crazy, because
it's
at
a
this
crazy
time,
thought.
it was highly profitable.
Highly profitable, millions of dollars of
Yeah.
profit. I mean, and I would say single digits of millions. We weren't over $10 million of profit, but we were probably profitable to the tune of, $5 million, somewhere around there, $5 million a year of profit.
And it's like,
Profit.
they're telling you, no one's going to want to buy this business.
No, yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
look, I guess if we scoured the earth, we probably could have found someone. But the way businesses are sold, with bankers and brokers, they're generally selling to sophisticated buyers of businesses who aren't looking for a business to go run themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They're looking for a business to invest in and park their money so that it can continue to grow and have a full management team and a team in place to continue to take it to that next level. And so we quickly realized that that's the product we need to build. The product we had as our business wasn't a great product. And we changed our mindset to, okay, if this business that we want to sell is a product, what does it need to look like? And that needs to be, you need to have office space, you need to have infrastructure, you need to have your teams in place, you need to have people from the ground up to middle level managers, and then you have to have a management team who's managing everything. You kind of have to have all of our knowledge into how we would grow and scale this company kind of down onto a plan and in pen and paper, so to speak, and have operating systems and hiring processes and annual evaluations of the teams were going on. Like, they needed to see that what they were buying was a machine, not two guys who were going to leave the company. And so that's what we set out to build. We used different ideas and different books. There's the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, which is a great book that talks about systematizing your business and having it work. And that's kind of how franchises work, right? The idea of like, that you don't need the smartest people to operate it because the manual is already there. All they got to do is follow it. That was a great book to read. And then the book that really helped us was Traction by Gino Wickman, which talks about an operating system within your business and kind of how to structure and put a framework of systems, how to hire and how to get the right people in the right seat, how to create scorecards, how to manage your business and be away from it and still have your finger on the pulse of your business. All of those things were a transition towards going that route. And that's what we chose to do. So we chose to say, hey, let's sell the business, but since it's not sellable in its current form, let's take the next couple years, 2-3 years to build it to sell, and let's make the best product possible. And so we started working on everything from product development plans for years out in advance, growth strategies for the future, working to find inroads into retail so that we could show that retailers would take to us in the now and in the future for future growth. Hiring, it was nonstop hiring from 2016 to 2019 when we eventually sold the first time. But yeah, going back, we hired our first girl in 2016. That's when we got an office, and that's when we started working on product development to take us to the future. And that's when we eventually developed Solo Stove Bonfire, which was our first backyard fire pit. It's the medium-sized fire pit if people want to go look at it. And we started that and did a Kickstarter for it. And that was a lot of fun. We used that to kind of drum up a little bit of credibility in the marketplace and use it as a resume builder as we work towards selling our company. So we sold, I think, $1.2 million of that product in 30 days on Kickstarter.
That's so good.
So that was a lot of fun. And then eventually it went crazy.
That's so cool because it's basically the big brother to that original backpacking stove, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's more like the Incredible Hulk version of our product, right? Is it's, from backpacking and camping, which is great, you're rehydrating food, or maybe you even have a pot and you're cooking stuff in a pot, or maybe you have a cast iron skillet on a camp stove. And that's great, but the camping niche is much smaller than the backyard space. And so when we went and transitioned from one market, not I wouldn't say transition, we expanded our market from, the smallest stove, which was a very niche product of ultralight backpacking and camping, to then more day camping, then more traditional car camping with families, then to the backyard. That's when kind of our market grew, and they call it the total addressable market, is much larger when it comes to, hey, everybody in their backyard can now have this. You don't need to want to camp. You don't even need to know what camping is.
Right.
But a backyard in your fire pit in your backyard that's virtually smokeless, that you can sit around with your family and have your kids be excited about roasting s'mores and feeding the fire and talking. All of that value turned out to be super advantageous as the company went forward.
Well, it's super impressive. Today I still don't know how, and I think it was through hiring, but how you guys were able in those couple short years to really go from like, hey, well, we don't want to do like hire people, to like hiring that first person, putting manuals into place, doing all that stuff. You guys ended up, I don't know if you leased it or bought it, but you ended up having that place there in Texas. I go in that warehouse, it's like all those bonfire
Yeah.
fire pits everywhere. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
I mean, it just like exploded. It's super impressive.
Yeah. It was a lot of work. I won't lie. Those few years, I think, was definitely the hardest. It was super fast paced. It was, we knew what we needed to do. And so there wasn't much else to like, we weren't open to be distracted by anything else. We knew exactly what we needed to do, and it was a matter of putting our heads down and working through our checklists, working through our to-do lists. And some of those items were really big, like bringing in all of our fulfillment in-house. We traditionally used 3PLs, third party logistics centers, that were other companies that would do the picking and the warehousing, the picking, packing, and shipping for us for a fee. And that works to a certain degree, but eventually we outgrew, and our pace of growth wasn't conducive to using 3PLs. And so we eventually decided to bring it all in-house. And our first warehouse was like 50,000 square feet. And it was a big warehouse. I mean, it was a big commitment. We went from rent of, I think our rent was like a couple $1,000s a month, and we were in a smaller flex office. And then jumping over there, it was like now $20,000-$30,000 a month. Rent just drastically jumps, and it was a big leap to do that. Now they've moved even into a larger facility. I think it's closer to a little over 400,000 square feet
Wow,
facility. Is ginormous.
that's insane. How
Yeah.
do you
So
how do you stay disciplined when like you have these successful months, quarters, years, and you know what you want. The goal was to sell it, but still, like, how do you stay disciplined? Because I think a lot of people suffer with like, man, we had a good month. Let's let off the gas a little bit. Let's go. At the time, you guys like to fish, so it's easy to be like, well, let's go fish.
yeah.
Like how do you not? How do you avoid the reward?
Yeah, I think that's I would tell you this. I don't think it's wrong to take your foot off the gas at certain times. For us, we were building from 2016 to 2019 to sell our company. Um, and so we knew we couldn't let off during that time. We had to make sure that our numbers looked the way we wanted it to look.
Did you have a deadline?
No, we didn't. We set one for ourselves though to sell, because
Uh,
what we were doing wasn't sustainable. The pace of work and the amount of effort and and just the risk factor, the longer it stretches out, the more within any given year something could happen
So
and drop our
you did
numbers.
establish a deadline for yourselves?
We did, yeah, and we
Yeah.
set it. We actually sold earlier than what we thought we would sell at, because offers and private equity started kind of knocking on our door earlier than when we were ready to sell, and so it actually came at a good time, because it was right before when COVID hit, and so we sold 2019, yeah, September 2019, when originally we were going to sell, we wanted to sell the next spring of 2020, which is when COVID was like in its peak in the US. And that would have been a great time to sell. But luckily, we sold when we sold 2019 and had a great outcome. We sold the majority of our company at a 9-figure valuation. So the valuation was over $100 million, and we sold the majority stake to private equity. We still retained a good chunk of the company. And a year later, because of COVID and because of the boost that COVID gave a lot of companies, including our own, sales were through the roof and profits were through the roof. And 1 year after we had just closed that first transaction of our first exit, we had a second exit to another private equity group who was much larger, and that valuation at that time was mid 9 figures. So it was north of $500 million, and that was just a year later. And so it was great timing. Not that we had the foresight of it. It was luck that we were able to sell it when we sold it, and then had COVID work out to be in our favor, so that these private equity groups, at the tail end of when money was really cheap, were picking up companies like crazy and giving super high valuations. So that's when we sold it. Then a year after that second sales, when we IPO'd, we had bought up a bunch of different companies, including Chubby's Apparel, Oru Kayak. We bought up a paddleboard company, and went public under Solo Brands, a holding company that now is comprised of all these different brands, basically on the back of Solo Stove.
That's so cool. Is
Yeah.
there a place we can go onto YouTube and watch you up there while they're ringing the bell?
Yeah, I'm sure if you look, I
You
think
don't have it saved
NYSE.
on your home screen?
No, I don't. But I think the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, has their own YouTube channel, and they just have this like
Oh, okay.
library of people up there ringing the bell. It's kind of anticlimactic, but yeah, it was a
It's cool, though.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very surreal to sit on Wall Street, or to stand on Wall Street, looking up at the New York Stock Exchange and seeing what we had built is now plastered all over the New York Stock Exchange the day we went public. And I just thought in my mind, like, how did I create this? And part of me gives myself credit, but part of me just says, like, man, we got lucky. We really did. Like, there's a lot of things that we did right, but there's definitely a lot of things that were out of our control that went our way.
Well, you throw that term luck around quite a bit, I feel like, in our conversations. And I mean, I see your point on like the timing on certain things. It's not like you planned for that. And like the second exit, like that was the plan. Like that private equity company was going to do an exit 2 or 3, 4 years later. It happened sooner. There was maybe some
Yeah.
inflation in values, but like what you guys did was incredible. And I don't think there was luck involved at all in terms of what you guys built. I mean, it's like most people, it's like the what was it? It's like a 10-year overnight sensation.
Yeah.
Like, no one really knows how much work, because in the back of our minds we're like, oh, laptop. Yeah, they were just like hitting some things, and then fishing on the lake, and like everything went well. Like shipping went well, the orders went well. They didn't have to worry about customer reviews. Like and I know it wasn't luck. So you should be super proud of yourself. You're just a super humble guy. So I think that's one of the things I like about you. But you're always like, I don't know, like I don't know if I could repeat this again. I'm like, dude, you definitely could. You know the blueprint. And I'm like, why are we not doing this? Let's go.
there's definitely a lot of things that that are learnings that we had, and we paid for our education through over the years in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. And I think anybody who's in business or owns a business, who looks back, you can see all of those learnings. And it's that mindset of thinking it's not success or failure. It's staying in the game that's important, right? Keeping yourself alive to fight another day, and taking what you learned in that last battle forward to the next. And that's kind of how I see it. And maybe it's because I don't really care the perception of what others think about what I'm doing. because I know, and it served me well throughout my entire life, that if I just try things and make the mistakes and make sure that those mistakes aren't fatal, that I'll learn and be better off the next time I do something similar or that requires, skills that I might have learned in those experiences. And that's why I look on like blogging. A lot of people say, "Oh, so you failed at it." If anybody is starting a business, "Oh, so you failed at this, and then you failed at selling these other things that you no longer sold, and then you failed at," like, no, it's like you are who you are today because of all of your experience and past mistakes and everything that you've gone through. And a lot of people, if you ask, like, if you could change one thing, or, do you have any regrets that you wish, you didn't, you would have done differently in the past? Most people come up with the answer of like, no, I wouldn't change anything because it's made me who I am today. And I
Yeah.
think that's the same for entrepreneurs, is like, you can't live in that mindset of, oh, I failed at this, and so I'm not good. You're missing the point of it all. I mean, the point of starting a business is to choose your own adventure, one, so that you can do the things you want to do regardless of if they make you money or not, right? A lot of times the things we want to do in business aren't necessarily the most logical thing to do from an outsider looking in, but it's what you want to do because you want to do it, right? I want to sell, these silly garden products because I like gardening and I like, doing that stuff. And that's that, the passion part, or, that sense of like, choose your own adventure, that I think gives you that time to be able to stay in the game for many, many years, right? Because if we just listen to some guy tell us what we should do and we hate it the whole way through, I guarantee you won't do it for many years, right? Let alone months, right? You might not even last a few months of somebody telling you, "Oh, you got to do this." You're like, "I hate doing that." "Oh, but it makes you a lot of money." Like, it's not money's not a very good motivating um, incentive. And so I think, doing things the way you want to do it, choosing your own adventure, is a great way and a great approach for entrepreneurs. I always say that's the real value you get out of being an entrepreneur, because the money's never guaranteed, but at least you can do it the way you want to do it and have fun doing it. And if you do it the way you want to do it and have fun doing it, there's, two things come out of it. One, you learn a whole lot so that the next time you go do something, you do it better or different, or it works out better. And then two, you stay in the game longer. And the longer you stay in the game, the more chances you have to stumble upon somebody that maybe opens the door for you, or maybe something clicks in your head, or maybe the market changes for you for the better, or, maybe a competitor dies out, or somehow, wants to sell their company and now your company's twice as big. Like, the longer you stay in the game is the better you're going to do, and the better chances you have to have a better outcome kind of happens. And so, I don't know. That's kind of my thinking as I think
Okay.
about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And would you say, like, well, I don't really know how to word this, but should everyone's goal as an entrepreneur be to sell their business or to get it to be sellable?
No, of course not. I think building a business to be sellable is a pretty smart thing. If you look at um, building a product, generally businesses run better when they're built in a way that um, is it creates a business that is sellable. I mean, they go hand in hand, is what I'm saying. A
Yeah.
good business that is run well, that has good trajectory for growth and is scaling and is growing healthy. A healthy business is a sellable business. And so in the sense of that, then yes, it does make sense to grow a business that can be sold, but not because you want to sell it. It just happens that sellable businesses are healthy businesses. So it kind of just
Yeah.
goes hand in hand. I think that for sure is the right thought to have. But I don't think it's imperative that everybody sells their business. You do what you want with it. That's why you signed up to do it in the first place. So if you want it to be your legacy business, if you want to run it and grow it and then have your kids work in it, that's a great idea too, right? Or if you just want to go keep working and grind it all the way to when you're, old and you can't do it anymore, that's great too. Or maybe you want to get it to the point where you want to step away to a certain degree, but still want to be involved. That's a great idea too. I think it's a choose your own adventure. We chose that, we never got into it to grow and hold for a long time, especially to the degree that it grew to. We wanted to sell it, get our time back, and then be able to do whatever we want with our own time. And maybe that includes building a business later. Maybe it doesn't. But at least I've been lucky enough to have that freedom to choose.
I'm still working on you. I'm trying to hack your account to make it look like there's like no money in there. So then I'll call you and you'll be like, well, what was that idea you had?
I guess we need to start making some money. We need to start selling some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my life's goals now is to try to get you to come back in
Get
the
back.
game.
Yeah. Get back in the game. Somebody else asked me the other day, it's like, are you ready for your next thing? I said, no, I think I'm good. There's lots of other, quote unquote work things in life that don't necessarily give you an income that, fortunately, I get to work on those things, work on my kids, work on my family, work on my health, work on my own sanity, work on my spirituality, work on, hobbies that I want to do, and find excitement and chase and fulfillment through those things. But I'll never say never. Sometimes, business, I can get excited.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, there is.
That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. Well, that's cool. I guess just to wrap up, because you have a different lifestyle now. You get to do everything that you want to do. Is there anything that you're like, you know what? Like I made excuses, like I didn't have time or whatever. But if someone who's in the game, they're in the heat, they're you 5 years ago. Is there any advice you'd give to that person? Like, no, like make time to do this. I think this is important.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think in those three, I think I did it well for a certain period of time. I mean, it went up and down, right? And I think everybody's looking for balance in life. And I think absolutely work on yourself, take time to work on yourself. Health is wealth. And if you get sick, none of this really matters. I mean, we experienced it through building the business. Actually, my dad, as we were in that hard growth, that fast growth scale mode, my dad had a massive heart attack in my home. Had to give him compressions to keep him alive. They came, shocked him like 7 times to get him back. And this is like right before Black Friday, one of our most busiest times in 2017. And he was in the ICU for over 2 weeks. And we thought we lost him. It was super traumatic, super scary, super eye-opening experience that I had. And I quickly realized that, man, if you don't have health, you don't have anything. And that's what matters the most. And you got to take care of yourself. And I think entrepreneurs have a hard time doing that. And by nature of them being successful probably means they're sacrificing in other areas of their life. So I would definitely recommend people, go get your annual checkup, get your blood work done, learn a little bit about, spend a little bit more time about working on your body and healthy eating habits and what you should put into your body, exercise, and working on your mind as well, right? Giving it time to rest, getting good sleep, so important. And I guarantee you'll function better as an entrepreneur. And I can tell you that because I did the opposite. Almost drove myself into the ground. I remember laying right beside my bed with my wife was on the bed and I was laying on the carpet beside the bed. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like I was literally in tears and just at my wit's end of like, I was just so burdened with everything. And I just didn't, I didn't take care of myself. So for sure, entrepreneurs got to take care of themselves in order to, stay in the game, last a little bit longer and enjoy that journey.
Great advice, man. Well, honestly, I can't thank you enough. That was awesome. This is going to be one that people are going to listen to many, many times. Seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Appreciate our friendship. Thanks for being on here, man.
Love it. Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
All right, guys, have an awesome week. Got a lot to implement from this one. So go back, listen to it several times, take notes. And like he said, health is wealth. So go take care of yourself. Have a good week, guys.
See ya.